the Music Hall Royale shall be presenting its latest and most ingenious work, Hamlet, Part 2. We are, I trust, rested, relaxed, restored, renewed, and more than ready to conclude what I'm sure you'll agree is your own Music Hall Royale's most ambitious endeavor to date. That of solving, by your vote, shortly to be counted, the mystery of Drood. 6 months have passed, and an English summer is now in progress. Still, there is to be found no trace of young Edwin Drood. And all of Cloistrom is agog with rumors and suspicion. But there were further developments. 2 inquiring sleuths have now appeared on the scene. One being the Prince's papa, whom you've already met. The other being a detective, a man of mystery, who wears a bulky coat, a fulsome beard, and the name of Dick Datchery. These 2 sleuths approach with grand intentions and great expectations, which I might like to add we shall be presenting in Brighton next season. And like ourselves, the Princess Puffer and the detective Dick Datchery are now just arriving at Cloistrom Station. Ah, yes. There's John Jasper back from another treatment in London. And note that in his wake, among the many curious souls of Cloistrom, none are more intently curious than these 2 sleuths.
Navigating towards this cave, I've come to town. My irritability don't have to clown, yet crafty at the core, settling down to settle up the score. A nettle full of fish, I'll fry, I'll cook each goose to mix the metaphor and I'll loose. Mighty meteor settling down to
as if the stars were mere punctures on the ceiling of the earth, through which heaven's light can be seen. Or something along those lines. My only wish is that my assistant Bassett, who is away on business, is not here to see such a night as this.
Hold on, boy! Here's a face we've not seen before in Cloistrom. Welcome to Fair Cloistrom, Captain. I am in the way of being official greeter to all men who might have the price of a bottle of wine on them. My name is Drood. And this is my apprentice, Deputy.
My name is Dattery. Dick Dattery, and I was wondering if any lodgings could be found in these parts.
Oh, no doubt, Mr. Dattery.
Something architectural and out of the way. Inconvenient?
Oh, we have many inconvenient lodgings here in Cloistrom, man.
Close to the cathedral as well?
Excuse me, sirs. I couldn't help but overhearing. The only such accommodation we have along those lines is a single lodging just above the home of Mr. John Jasper. He's a great admirer of my own humble abode.
Isn't he the fellow who's been much afflicted by the loss of his nephew, Edwin Drood?
Wait on, boy. Is this much afflicted fellow, Mr. John Jasper, always dressed in morning clothes these days?
That's a man, and you won't catch me going near him again.
Why's that, boy?
Because I'm going to be lifted off my legs and choked again.
I find that most interesting. I shall enjoy watching the comings and goings of this town.
That man should speak to his tailor.
Oh, excuse me, Mom. Might you be able to...
Are you ill?
No. Always look this way.
Rosa! We have both been guilty of neglecting your music lessons. When shall we resume?
Never, sir.
Am I being politely told that you've abandoned your studies altogether?
The politeness is yours, not mine. I beg not to be questioned. I will not answer anymore. At least I have that in my power.
Rosa, I
I do not wish to hear you, sir.
do not forget how many eyes command a view of us, but you shall hear me. Dearest Rosa, charming Rosa, even when my dear boy was engaged to you, I loved you madly. I hid our secret loyally, did I not?
You are as false to him, sir, daily and hourly as you are now. You know you made me afraid to open his kind eyes to the truth, that you are a bad, bad man.
How beautiful you are! You are even more beautiful in anger than in repose. I do not ask for your love. Give me yourself and your hatred, that pretty rage, that enchanting scorn. It'll be enough for me. I warn you, sweet witch, rare charmer. You must stay or do more harm than can be undone.
You're mad.
I mean to show you how mad my love is.
Love? You dare to use that word.
Yes!
Love is but a word that wandered here from pastures green, where it was rarely said or seen and seldom sung. Innocent enough it was intended to be used on rare occasions, not abused by every tongue. Rarely has a word been ever taken so in vain, with little meaning might remain as quickly blood. Never has there been so quite exhausted such a term. Your size and syllables confirm how drained this word. You call it love.
I call it love.
I call it rude.
You call it rude.
I call it lust. I call it crude.
Stop it, too crude.
I call it cruel.
I neither do.
I cannot bear
Yes, still I dare.
to call it love. I think it false.
Listen, Miss Guy.
I think it vile.
Listen, Miss
The
Guy.
moral taste.
Just your brain.
A cunning guile.
I've no denial.
You're worse than bad.
My words are bad.
You give to sin
I speak them
in the name of love. every color confirms that she's a child, a girl, a neophyte. Rosie is the only soul in Cloister, it seems, who senses just the sort of dreams you dream at night. Did you think your stare would stop my seeing every fiber of my being? Told me since I was betrothed. That's your most unnatural attention. Conjures words I dare not mention. You must know how much I loathe. To know your wants.
You know my wants.
To see you clutch.
I need not clutch.
To hear your voice.
You have no choice.
To feel your touch.
Is it so
A
much?
dreadful task.
For me to ask.
To even speak.
I only speak
the name of love. I will not fear.
I love to hear.
My tragic plight.
The angry bite.
I have a choice.
Of your fair voice.
I'll take to flight.
One blazing night.
I'll not permit
You will submit.
to desecrate.
And give your faith.
The name of love.
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 The name of love. The name of love. La 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 la. And in the moon, oh, can you not free this victim you so enslave? Save me and let these dreams remain awake. My own transfixed with one of this love, my all, my love. Your name is love and thrilling to me. Beneath these skies one night unknown would she dare. Between our eyes one sight alone we share. A sight of love as it comes into view. So I promise that you shall be soon a golden idol, who my own and love and lead into a sea of light is but the falling moon. Falling moon.
Well, I've just overheard something. And now I have one of the very bits of information I came for.
Are you leaving Cloister so soon, madam?
Not bloody likely. I didn't come this far only to turn back now with but one piece of the puzzle in my hand. I've never in my wretched life been this close to getting something I set out after. More the fool I'd be to turn back just when I'm winning. I've never understood those in life who ease up just when they should push on. Once I bet the last 10 pence and won. Twice as rich, then friend said, call it done. How sad, I said. So that's your wildest dreamy then. 20 pence instead of 10. Double up my bet again. In life we start the same as when we're done. If you lose, you're just where you begun. If you won, don't quit while you're ahead. Just press your blessed luck instead. Move might be the best. Use the heart that beats within your breast. Never rest. Don't quit while you're ahead. Sing out, there's more in store for me.
I see my dream ship slowly coming in. And begin to win.
Little shin, remember what I said. Don't quit while you're ahead. Let go. I know there must be a love that's yet to be. Only just 3 weeks away from me.
taste. Heed the call with all due haste. For God's own sake. So raise the stake.
You struck the lucky vein, never break through any lucky chain or a break.
As easily done as said.
You'll see tomorrow reap. Boom! Bang it, crash it, glory be. Boom! Bang it, crash it, glory be. See what is more in store for me.
Bonsoir, maestro. S'il vous plaît.
And now, at last, we see the sight, the thin ring of light, white, shimmering in the dim dawn of night. So long have we been blind, but finally we unwind the plot. The truth is this, we find out what we did.
Bridget Brown!
Ladies and gentlemen, it was at this point in our story that Mr. Charles Dickens laid down his pen forever. And so, dear friends, that is all we shall ever know for certain of the mystery of Edwin Drood. Tonight, however, at least within the confines of this humble theater, we shall together solve, resolve, and conclude the mystery of Edwin Drood. One minor mystery that we can resolve immediately, though it has little to do with the plot at hand. You see, most literary experts would agree that our inquiring detective, Mr. Dick Datchery, is actually someone we have already met. A character from Act 1 who is disguised as Datchery so as to better investigate the disappearance of Edwin Drood. And, as many of you have no doubt already guessed, the part has been taken thus far this evening by that master and mistress of male impersonation, Miss Alice Nothing. But, ladies and gentlemen, this does not mean that our inquiring detective, Dick Datchery, is Edwin Drood. Oh no, far from it. The reason for Miss Nothing's portrayal of Datchery is that she was contracted to appear for 2 acts of our show. And our management believes in an honest week's work for an honest day's pay, if you catch my drift. Which brings us, ladies and gentlemen, to our first key question this evening. Is Edwin Drood dead or alive? Mr. Charles Dickens experimented with many titles for our story. For example,
The Loss of Edwin Drood. The Flight of Edwin Drood.
The disappearance of Edwin Drood.
but nowhere the death or murder of Edwin Drood. On the other hand, many would say that a mystery without a murder is no mystery at all. And so, dear friends, our questions shall be answered primarily by you this evening, but in a daring and perhaps dangerously democratic move, the Music Hall Royale has decided to grant our company themselves the right to vote upon one key issue each evening. And so, my fellow acolytes of the thespianic persuasion, this evening our questions shall be, Mr. Throttle,
Thank you, Bill. Is Edwin Drood dead or alive? Miss Nutting, should you have vested interest in the outcome of this, would you please turn your back to the cat? Thank you. Now, all those who believe Edwin Drood is dead, please signify this by raising your hands. Thank you. And all those who feel Edwin Drood is alive, please do the same. Thank you.
I'm sorry, Miss Nutting, but I fear you've been snuffed. By a massive majority, no less. And our next key question, Mr. Throttle.
Who is the detective Dick Datchery?
Well, we can safely eliminate Edwin Drood from that consideration, since our company has voted him dead for the remainder of the evening.
Dead? Ha! And bloody ha-ha! You absolute envious little twits! It's obvious to everyone here that that I am Datchery, and it's even more transparent that this petty, jealous cast bitterly resents the attention I've received in the local press. Goodbye, all.
Miss Nutting, really, I'm sure that we can work something out if only you'll stay put. You would not believe the week we have had with her. First, her dressing room was too small. Then, her mustache was too long. I told her she was splitting hairs. You mean you didn't like that? Well, please yourselves. However, ladies and gentlemen, I must apologize for this bit of unpleasantry in what I'm sure you'll agree has been an otherwise flawless evening. Thank you all so very much. However, in all fairness to our cast and to our story, I must strenuously point out that many literary experts disagree with Miss Nutting's contention that Edwin Drood and the detective Dick Datchery are one and the same person. Indeed, there are several prime candidates for the face behind Datchery's beard. For instance, I offer you Helena Landless. About her, Neville revealed in Act 1.
In desperation, Helena tried on more than one occasion to flee his cruel and miserly hand, even disguising herself as a boy.
A hint, a palpable hint. But is it a meaningful thrust or misdirection? Wouldn't Helena Landless be fearful of pursuing John Jasper under the given circumstances?
Not under any circumstances!
But the candidates hardly end there. What say you of Basil?
I love the theatrical world, but there are many stages beyond the proscenium. I long to play a larger part.
Who more likely to don such melodramatic garb and seek all the spotlight? Why otherwise does he appear in our story at all?
such remembrances. I've been secret and revengeful.
Who more likely to investigate the disappearance of Edwin Drood than he who is most suspected of foul play? Or did someone else wish to clear Neville's name?
Neville has been entrusted to my care.
Ah, the Reverend Mr. Crisparkle, whose passions and energies lie hidden beneath his clerical garb. Could it be that he has adopted yet another uniform, that of Datchery, so as to better investigate the disappearance of Edwin Drood? Looks can be deceiving. And then there is the puzzling and intriguing possibility of Rosa. Could it be that we have underestimated the resourcefulness of this woman-child? Did she take it upon herself to investigate the disappearance of Edwin Drood? Looks can be deceiving.
I'll say.
This much I know for certain. Ladies and gentlemen, this much I know for certain. Our inquiring detective, Mr. Dick Datchery, is not John Jasper, the Prince's Puffer, Durdle's deputy, or even Mayor Sapsay. For in our story, and in Mr. Dickens' novel, they all appear in scenes with him. They are observed to be in his company. And so, ladies and gentlemen, we are left with the following candidates for the role of the detective, Dick Datchery. And may I suggest that the voting take place the way it was handled in amateur theatrical contests. As a handkerchief is held above the head of each candidate, pray applaud loudest for your very own favorite in the part of Datchery. And please remember, we have still larger decisions yet to come. Soon, we shall be asking you to decide who was the murderer of Edwin Drood. So don't merely vote for whichever cast member is a distant relative of yours, for God's sake. Mr. Throttle, if you please.
Thank you. The underrated Mr. Bassett. The tempestuous Miss Helena Ladd. The lovely Miss Rosa Budd. The ecclesiastic ecstatic, the Reverend Mr. Crisparkle. All the way from Ceylon, Mr. Neville Landis.
Rosa, I'm sorry, but I fear you're the only candidate that we have eliminated. Please step back, if you will. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I ask you to vote again among our remaining candidates. This time, being as loud as you possibly can, so that a clear distinction may be made. Mr. Throttle, once again, please.
Mr. Neville Landis. The Reverend Mr. Crisparkle. Miss Helena Landis.
Reverend Mr. Crisparkle have accepted the fact that they have been eliminated. However, you have left us with 2 remaining candidates. Please, vote again.
Mr. Bassett.
I feel that this time your choice is quite clear. Miss Helena Lannis has secured the
Helena, you best go make a quick change of costume.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, we move on to a much more pivotal decision. For now, we shall be asking you to... Miss Nothing. Really? Oh, ladies and gentlemen, such appalling behavior is due entirely to upbringing. Her parents were in the iron and steel business. Mother irons, father steels. You mean you didn't like that? Well, how about this then? She was once known as the orthopedic soprano. She sang in all the joints. You mean you didn't like that one either? Well, please yourselves. However, ladies and gentlemen, now, we come to that point in our story, as in all mystery stories, where we must find for ourselves a killer, a culprit, a fiend. In short, the murderer of the dear departed, late lamented, vanished, vanquished title character of our show, Edwin Drood. Intolerable behavior is definitely off limits. One more outburst like that, and I'll send them all back to the Salvation Army. They'll have you standing out in the rain singing, Jesus wants me for a sunbeam. Ladies and gentlemen, who killed Edwin Drood? Who shall be our murderer this evening? First, for your consideration, I offer you the most obvious candidate for the part, Mr. Clyde Paget as John Jasper. Oh, ladies and gentlemen. You there. Do you not know that here at the music hall, we boo and hiss the villain? Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's the way it is. We'd best have some booze for this villain. No. We're going to have to start all over again. We will do this until you get it right, or else I'll have you all standing in a line singing, the church bells won't ring tonight because the vicar's got the clapper. Well, I finally found one you like. It's about time. Thank you all so very much. But, once again, from the top, please, I offer you the most obvious candidate for the part of murderer this evening, Mr. Clyde Paget as John Jasper. Come now, ladies and gentlemen, I ask you, is this the face of a murderer? Yes? Well, more appropriately, I ask you, could this be all that there is to the mystery of Edwin Drood? That John Jasper, the obvious villain of the piece, did indeed kill his nephew in a hopeless attempt to win the love of the fair Miss Rosa Budd? Well, where then the mystery? It looks like that's taken the wind out of your sails, Big Mouth. Where then the mystery? Where indeed? So how stand you? For the obvious answer, or for a more perplexing solution? Now, certain cast members can definitely be eliminated from the voting. The young deputy and my own Mayor Sapse roles were, without question, intended for comic relief, and never figured very intimately with the lives of the other characters. Which leaves us, ladies and gentlemen, with the remaining candidates for the role of murderer this evening.
Baz, my need for attention has driven me quite mad. Someone stop me before I sing again. Never
Rosa Budd, why would anyone as innocent and sweet as I murder my own true Ned?
I'd rather have a bottle in front of me than to give Drood a frontal lobotomy.
Madness! In all honesty, I cannot recall of anything of what transpired once Edward and I reached the riverbed. Although he was an odious little twit and he deserved what he got. Have I in some way confused my mission on Earth?
The Princess Papa! Who am I? And what am I?
Thank you so very much. John Jasper, I have stood in the cold shade of suspicion since our story began.
Time, ladies and gentlemen, time at last to decide. And for the sake of accuracy, may I suggest that we vote by a show of hands. So let's bring up the house lights and move out. Oh my gosh! Is this what I've been working with this evening? Why don't you all try joining hands and contacting the living? Oh, jeez! Very well. I suppose we must proceed post-haste to the bidding. Our cast members are now circulating among you to count your most vital votes. Visitor, here's the news. Your judgment has been passed. You settled up the score. At last. Ladies and gentlemen, it appears that we have discovered the murderer in our midst. I shall now offer a simple proof to your chosen thief that he or she will know your verdict. And so that the final denouement may come as a complete and total surprise, I must strenuously suggest that for the next few moments, you close your eyes tightly. Close your eyes now then.
Close your eyes!
Everybody now? Okay? I'm offering the port. The murderer is drinking. Close your eyes here in front. Your murderer is drinking. Right. You may all open your eyes now. You see, ladies and gentlemen, you cannot trust anyone here this evening. And so, as our cast depart backstage, where at this very moment your vital votes are being counted, I can only caution you to prepare for a few unexpected twists and turns as we serpentine towards the conclusion you have chosen for us. And so, dear friends of the Music Hall Royale, for the first time and at long last, by your own determination, the conclusion, the finale of the mystery of Edwin Drood. Chapter of Mr. Dickens' novel was entitled The Dawn. Perhaps not coincidentally, the last chapter he wrote was called The Dawn Again. So yes, let us begin again amid the cold gray tendrils of a dim English dawn.
No, it's bloody freezing again. Here, Missy, could you spare 3 and 6 for Christian soul in distress?
We're both Christian souls in distress, I fear, and I have little more than 3 and 6 to get me to London.
Running away from something?
Yes, at long last, yes. And now I must...
Rosa.
How on earth could you know my name?
No. I've only known you since the day you were born. Only bathed you and fed you. Don't look at me, Rosa. I don't want you to see me this way. Can you remember your nanny, Rosa? Some 12 years ago. Will you look at me now, my own darling girl, and see your nan instead?
Now, somewhere. I was 6 and then you weren't there anymore.
You do remember, darling girl. You never really knew your mother, did you? I was the closest thing to that for you.
But why did you leave me?
It's a sad story, Rosa, but a common one, I fear. I was once your nan, then I met a man, tall and old, with golden hair, is where my end began. Let him have his way with me, he knew his way so well. Led me down the garden path to hell. Marriage in the end. What I got instead was a bed in Camden Town, and then to me he said, should I send around a friend, be nice to him this swell? Stroll him him down your garden path to hell. Make your bed of roses and sleep in it. Cuddle deep in it and pray you never wake. Soon the deadly poppies come cropping up, fairly popping from the seeds of one mistake. Owe me back all day, earning Satan's pay. Took to drink so not to think of who'd come next to play. Gave my gent my every cent, and he gave me farewell, leaving me to weed the path to hell. Life's a maze of hedges that prickle you. As they tickle you, they tell you all about. Strolling through the maze is amusing too, but confusing when you can't find your way out. Lost my looks by then, couldn't draw the men. So I learned a trade and earned my keep with drugs, and then found myself a wicked shelf where opium I sell. Here's a pipe for you, sir. Price is 5 and 2, sir. Can't you see the garden? It's such a lovely garden. I'll take you there, I know the path so well. To hell, to child my own. I'm deep ashamed you went through life alone. But yet despite my dreadful fall from grace, I never once forgot your name or face. One icy evening, a client of mine began to rave and crave some laudanum wine. But as he drank his cup of Satan's blood, he made the grave mistake of crying Rosa. But it's one thing for them like me to mix and mingle with the likes of he. We are both made from God's most lovely clay and blood. But how comes this man to cry out, Rosabud? Well, I can't see too clear, but I followed him here, finding out who was who. I've come back a time or two, then last night tracking me was this Mr. Lattery. So I followed his tracks to his lodgings in the back, though I hate to confess. Well, I watched this man undress, and I saw a sudden wise him without his books. So the job took wills and much wit to plan this. Dick Datchery is Miss Landless. Told you couldn't see too well. Thus she has been sheared. I don't know how men live through heat with a beard. Gladly I shed this tent of a coat. My explanation now I evoked. My motive in taking the role of a wicked and white-whiskered soul was to ably disguise my most feminine size, take an inquiring stroll for strangers who chat with a chat, and reveal this in not in a snap. It's remarkably leery for women who query too much. It's a great handicap. So this disguise saw me through it, playing the part of a man. Really, there's nothing much to it. Most any animal can. Climbing out of a limerick out of
should die. Twice dead am I. A man could split in twain, yet to all eyes remain a soul genteel who can conceal the venom in his brain. And if he draws upon the pause in madness, opium smoke supplies. Why this great surprise? There are two men in me, and cunning bright is he, who hides himself, resides himself where I've no eyes to see. And now I think he's at the brink of breaking through the door. I'm in, he's out, I'm out, he's free, I'm free, I'm me once more. How many times I've killed that Drood upon my flights! My flights which burst the smug presumption of his rights. His rights as heir, his rights to share my Rosa's bed. It took no smoke for me to picture Edwin dead. That night I poured myself a flask of laudanum, and then to toast my netted Neville I drank some. That's when my greatest flight of fancy did take place. I watched my hands outstretched towards Edwin's pale white face, and in the moonfall I saw my fingers clutching his neck so tightly, touching his sleeve, he fell so lightly. Moonfall then fell on me, but God, the deed was much too easily done. As much as over once it had begun, such tragedy to finally make the kill, and not to awake to taste the thrill. Now I've confessed, now we both can rest.
No! I can't let it happen! Yes, you placed the coat that young Edwin wore down by the River Weir to throw suspicion on Neville Landless. You're a bad one, Mr. Jasper, when the evil one is inside you. But you're not a murderer. You didn't kill Edwin Drood. Turtles, let me understand you correctly. Are you saying that John Jasper did not kill his nephew? Exactly, your lordship, sir. It was a wild night that evening, as you'll remember, Squire, and I sought shelter near Mr. Jasper's door. That's when I saw once amongst you throttle young Edwin Drood, and in a convenient flash of lightning, I saw who it was. It was... That was quite a long speech, Bill. Do you think I could have a quick nip of port? Turtles? Right. Suddenly, I see Mr. Jasper stagger out of his own home under the influence of potent medicine. Suddenly, he collapses, and then he gets up, picks up young Edwin Drood, and carries him into the cathedral and down into the crypts, depositing the body right into Mrs. Sapsay's tomb. What? I told you there was enough room in there for the entire royal family to have afternoon tea. Yes, Turtles. But now you must tell us, who did it? It was... Neville!
Out of sight in mind. Of course I
I killed our master, then could I forgo the chance to gain my pride and Rosa with one blow. I came to this place with but one plan, that you view this face, an Englishman. But all you saw was my hot blood, and I saw Rosa bud. Edwin Twisted was a grand romance. With Edwin dead, I'd stand a chance. That cool December, my blood was warm. We strolled together against the storm. The best of chums, we laughed and talked as on to rest Drood walked. My mood was black then, thunder did crack then. He turned his back then, I did lunge. His neck I knotted, his throat garroted. He took the plunge and English he stood, and English he fell. I sent him to his good English hell.
And there is your murderer for this evening. But surely we are entitled to a happy ending. We all have the need in our lives for love, romance, or at this hour of the evening, any reasonable facsimile thereof. So, it remains for you to resolve one final question. Which two of our company shall find that commodity which we all seek? Who shall be our lovers this evening? Let's see. On the distaff side, we have the alluring Princess Puffer, the tempestuous Miss Helena Landless, and the lovely, once again, the lovely Rosa Parks. Ladies and gentlemen, which of these young ladies would you like to see united in bonds of love with one of our remaining male leads? Pray, indicate by your applause as Mr. James Throttle once again holds a handkerchief above the head of each candidate. Next, Bill. The Princess Puffer.
Miss Helena Landless. Miss Rosa Parks.
Ladies and gentlemen, it would appear that a slight distinction has been made. However, to ensure that you see the ending you would like, I must eliminate one candidate and have you vote again. The only candidate we may eliminate is Helena Landless. Pray, applaud again, this time choosing between the Princess Puffer and Rosa Bud.
Miss Rosa Bud.
Princess Buffer has ceded her victory to Rosamund. Ladies and gentlemen, Rosa being an excellent choice, I would now like you to choose from our field of well-heeled bachelors. Let us see, we have the Reverend Mr. Chris Barkle, this specimen called Daddles, the young deputy, our underrated Mr. Bassett, in a surprise move all the way from the orchestra pit, Mr. Terry Lindsay. This evening. You're not. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, I fear that no matter how loudly you applaud, we cannot turn this poor chap into a lover. So, in his place, ladies and gentlemen, I offer you our last candidate, Mr. John Jasper. Mr. Throttle, if you please. Thank you. The young deputy. Daddles. Job much harder. Reverend Mr. Chris Barker. I'll see you all in church. Mr. Bassett. Mr. John Jasper! Gentlemen, it would appear that Mr. John Jasper is our candidate. You'd best go see Miss Rosabud. Yes, that is your choice, and I fear we're stuck with it. I think we are about to have a gentle reprise. Miss Purcell, a love song, if you will.
John Jasper, you were two men. The first I feared and loathed, but the second had hidden behind his eyes the brilliance and torment of an anguished soul. Which Jasper are are you now, John?
Rosa. We are, I mean to say, I am, the Jasper that loves you single most. Come, and together we shall be as three, as two, as one.
Once we were perfect strangers, how strangely met are we?
I find I now adore you. Our best has yet to be.
It seems I've longed to hold you, heard romance.
You love me so, they've told you.
Let's not resist this ending.
Once we have kissed, pretending takes no skill. This strangeness makes me thrill. Once we were perfect strangers, yet now I love you perfectly.
Ladies and gentlemen, but what do we have of Edwin Drood? Ah, if only he could speak to us from beyond the grave. What could he tell us? What would he say?
I'm alive! Hello, all! I am Lazarus, risen from the grave. Quite alive, you'll find me. This tomb behind me is where I faced my closest shame when I struck my head against the street. I was stunned, not stricken. Our plot doth thicken, for Jasper flew me off my feet to the crypt. I awoke in dark beyond belief, and while all above me showed their grief, I was screaming for my very breath. Only moments from death, you have no idea the sudden strength that you feel within you, the steel and sinew, when fate stands smiling at arm's length. I escaped from cloister I fled. I did not return here till I could learn here just who in hell would wish me dead. But more than that, more than what solution fits the crime, what I've learned is that life is bits of time, and you fight for every tiny speck. When you're held by the neck, I have read the writing on the wall, and the greatest mystery is not the history of Jasper, Drood, and one and all. I have met my maker and returned. What advice I'm giving to all those living is just to learn what I have learned. Life is dear. There can be no victory in defeat. If outnumbered, beat a fast retreat to the nearest shelter and dig in. When you live, then you win. Scratch and claw for every day you work. Make them drag you screaming for life. Keep dreaming you live forever here on earth. I have seen the writing on the wall, and it's clearly spelled out for all who've held out that holding on to life is all. Is it clear? If you hear my voice, then you're alive. What a bloody marvel we survive. When you think of every risk we face in our mad human race, I have read the writing on the wall. Try to live forever and give up never. The fight you'll need the wherewithal. Can you hear the lightning as I breathe inside you? To read the writing
Ladies and gentlemen, you may or may not know that this is our third and final night of the show, hence closing night. So at this point in time, we would like to thank a few members of our community without whom our show I realize that no amount of applause we can give them now would suffice for the amount of work and hard effort they have put into the show. However, I would like to thank the following people and ask you to please hold your applause till the end. We have, thank you for paying attention, ma'am. We have the Bleacher Patrol and the Men of the Kitchen. And if these people, if you would be in the audience, please stand to be recognized. Mrs. Patty Ditka and the program production assistants. Mrs. Hunkel and Spotlight Costume for our finery. Mrs. Moeller and the ushers. Mrs. Del Vecchio, Mrs. Leschek, and the prop assistants. Mrs. Franks, Mrs. Ladd, Miss Johnson, Miss Fantasky, and the makeup crew. Mrs. Hanlon and the talented musicians. Father Al and the members of SALT, our sound and lighting crew. And now we have Scum, our fantastic stage crew. How about that train? How about that train, ladies and gentlemen? Mr. and Mrs. Kennedy. And now you may applaud for our fantastic crews and committees. Ladies and gentlemen, the next four members I would like to announce, I would ask to please come up on stage, because by far and away they have put into this more work and more dedication, more long hours than anybody here. Without this work and dedication, our show could not possibly take shape the way it has.
First off, we'd like to thank our choreographer for her beautiful steps and for her amazing encouragement, Miss Lori Herron.
Next, we would like to thank our assistant director who coordinated many of the individual monologues you have seen and did much critiquing on our acting on stage here, Mr. Brett Thomas.
We'd like to thank is standing in the back for her patience, her encouragement, her perseverance, and for sticking with us the whole way through, Sister Judy.
lastly, ladies and gentlemen, we would like to thank the one man who has put this all together, who has touched each and every one of our lives here on stage, both in accord with musical theater and as individual people. He has given us the strength, encouragement, and support it takes to produce a play. He has united us together as a single family under the common bond of musical theater. A man who no introduction can help, Mr. Terry Lindsay, our director. Since you have chosen such a fine ending for us this evening, you deserve a wonderful round of applause for yourself. I hope and pray I have not forgotten anyone, and I would like to thank you all for coming to our show this evening. Thank you very much.